What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and huge breaking news coming out as last night, finally, the House of Representatives passed through the infrastructure bill, and this is your stimulus and infrastructure bill update. However, for those of you that follow me here on the channel, you saw yesterday that they also delayed the passage of the stimulus reconciliation bill. Now, what does this all mean? What is the path forward? And why would they do such a thing? Well, you guys, I'm going to be covering all of the details for you in today's video. Stick around with me throughout the end, and I'm going to get you all caught up. Now, let's take a look, though, first at the video footage of what unfolded late last night. And the Democrats are saying this is a tremendous win for them. This is a monumentous, the largest infrastructure bill of our time. And they're saying this is going to be funding the development of roads, bridges, highways, creating tons of jobs. That's going to help spark growth and development in our economy. And there was literally a standing ovation for over a minute when it passed finally late last night. Take a look and see it for yourself.
On this vote, the yeas are 228 and the nays are 206. The motion is adopted.
Wow, so there you have it. And this morning we're seeing articles coming out like this. Take a look. Finally, Infrastructure Week, Biden says cheering the $1 trillion bill. Congress passes the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, delivering a major win for Biden. And we're hearing that this is showing the American people that Democrats, when they're in full control, they can deliver. This took quite some time, and we heard that there was several compromises that took place, but still they were able to pass this through. And take a look. Roads, transit, internet. What is in this infrastructure bill? Well, I'm going to be covering all the details for you in these articles. And this is huge breaking news, as for those of you that follow me on the channel saw yesterday, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi broke the two bills apart and said, we're passing infrastructure now. Stimulus reconciliation is going to need some more work. We're just going to go through a procedural advancement, a vote on that, but we will not pass it right now. Now, this was huge because progressives, they essentially conceded to moderates and allowed this to happen and voted in favor of the infrastructure bill. But not all of them. There was still division, as you're going to be seeing. There were several that did not vote for it. However, since it was bipartisan, there were some Republicans in the House that hopped on board and allowed this to pass through. Now, this would not have happened with the stimulus reconciliation bill. As we're hearing, there are no Republicans that would have voted in favor of it. So they're saying they're going to be delaying the passage of that one here for a little bit. But like I said, let's dive into the articles, get you caught up on all the details. But before we do, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second. If you appreciate the updates, keeping you up to speed on everything going on, smash that like button. Just takes a second. Helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments. Share this out. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, hit the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. And there's a lot more to come. We still have to get a stimulus reconciliation bill done by Thanksgiving, we're hearing. We still have to avoid a government shutdown, increase the debt ceiling, and we're hearing that there will be another stimulus reconciliation bill to come in 2022, according to President Joe Biden. So you guys, there's a lot that's going to be happening. And if you got any specific questions that you want me to answer on any of this, shoot me a DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. Best way to get a hold of me if you have any questions. But with that being said, let's dive into these articles and get you caught up on the details of what has just finally passed and what is on the way. All right, you guys. So first up, a link in the description below to this CNN Politics article that just came out. I always cite my sources so you can see them for yourself. And it says, Congress has passed a $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, delivering on a major pillar of President Joe Biden's domestic agenda after months of internal deliberations and painstaking divisions among Democrats. Now, the final vote was 228 to 206, with 13 Republicans that voted with the majority of the Democrats in support of the bill. Though 6 Democrats voted against it, and 6 progressive Democrats said they did not support passing this through without stimulus reconciliation. Now, the bill now heads to the president's desk to be signed into law following hours of delays and internal debating among Democrats on Friday, including calls from Biden to persuade skeptic progressive members of the Democratic caucus. And there was major concern that progressives were not going to support this and derail the infrastructure bill, which they were saying would be a massive embarrassment for President Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. And then in turn, moderates would do the same thing to the stimulus reconciliation bill when it came up for a vote. But in the end, they ended up siding to pass this through. Now, the legislation, it actually passed the Senate back in August, and it's just been sitting in the House. It was stalled out in the House as Democrats tried to negotiate a deal on a separate $1.9 trillion economic package, aka the stimulus reconciliation, which is another key component of Biden's agenda that many Democrats had tied the fate of that to the infrastructure bill. But like we said, they were broken apart late last night. Now, the legislation that passed Friday night, here is what it will deliver. $550 billion of new federal investments in America's infrastructure over the course of the next 5 years, including money for roads, bridges, mass transit, rail, airports, ports, and waterways. The package includes a $65 billion investment in improving the nation's broadband infrastructure and invests tens of billions of dollars in improving the electric grid and water systems. Another $7.5 billion would go to building a nationwide network of plug-in electric vehicle chargers, according to the bill text. Now, as I mentioned, this is a major concession from progressives who had been threatening to derail the infrastructure bill. Jumping down in the article, take a look at this. Biden called progressives. Biden called Pramila Jayapal, who was leading the Progressive Caucus, a Washington state Democrat, this afternoon amid a standoff, according to 3 sources familiar with the matters. She left a meeting with the Congressional Progressive Caucus early to take the call. Now, after the call, Jayapal asked for a show of hands of those who would not back the infrastructure bill. And listen to this. Roughly 20 progressives raised their hands, according to sources familiar in the room. Now, the president separately called into a meeting with the Progressive Caucus, and he spoke with them over the speakerphone. And apparently, whatever it was that he said, it ended up working because we saw a lot of them get on board. Only 6 held out, and they passed this through. So now, progressives have pretty much folded to the moderates, saying we will do this in the spirit of compromise. But now the question remains, will Senator Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema now do their part to compromise to push through stimulus reconciliation? Now, we will see. And right now, as you know, Congress is working away on modifications to that bill to get all parties in the Democratic Party, all factions, to agree on this to push it through as well. And we heard from Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi that the deadline for this, the new one for stimulus reconciliation, is going to be Thanksgiving. And for those of you that are interested, a little bit of a further breakdown on what's included in the infrastructure bill and the pay-fors. Link in the description below to this Yahoo News article that cited the Associated Press that says roads, transit, internet, what is in the infrastructure bill? And it says for roads and bridges, there's going to be $110 billion. Also for public transit, $39 billion. Passenger and freight rail, there's going to be $66 billion. And they give all the details in here if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Electric vehicles, $7.5 billion. Internet access is going to get $65 billion. Modernizing the electric grid, $65 billion. Airports will receive $25 billion. And water and wastewater is going to get $55 billion. And paying for all of this, it says the 5-year spending package would be paid for by tapping $210 billion in unspent pandemic relief and $53 billion in unemployment insurance aid some states have halted. So the unemployment benefits from the federal PUA, PEUC, and the boost that did not get spent, they're going to be using that for the infrastructure, and also they're going to be tapping $210 billion of funds that were not used from those previous packages as well. And it says some states have halted that, along with an array of small pots of money like petroleum reserve sales and spectrum auctions for 5G services. So you guys, that is the details of what's going to be in this infrastructure bill that has finally passed. And now we're going to be turning our attention towards stimulus reconciliation and getting this passed through before Thanksgiving. And also, it might need to include a debt ceiling increase as well. As we've heard Republicans say, they are not going to be getting on board. And the deadline to get that one done is December 3rd. So you guys, that is the huge major breaking news just coming out about finally passing this infrastructure bill through. And now Congress is going to be turning their attention towards passing that stimulus reconciliation bill and increasing the debt ceiling and getting the government funded. And you guys, I'll be sure to keep you up to speed here on the channel. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. Leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. And if you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. But with that being said, you guys, hope this reaches you well. Keep you up to date. I'll catch you in the next video. Have a blessed weekend. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.